Greetings and welcome to the Cerebral Women Art Talks podcast. I'm Phyllis Hollis, your host. As an extension of my Instagram page, Cerebral Women, this podcast offers insights into the visual art world. I interview artists, mainly artists of color and female artists who will freely articulate what inspires their creativity. In addition, you'll hear interesting perspectives from dedicated art professionals who work with artists and the art institutions that feature them. I'm confident that collectively, these individuals will indeed stimulate your mind as they do our eyes. Please know these interviews are conducted in my Manhattan apartment, so please forgive the background sounds of city life. Welcome to the Cerebral Women Art Talks podcast. This episode features Onay Gutierrez, a multifaceted artist, collector, and preservationist with a rich background that spans education, ceramics, and historic preservation. Born in Veracruz, Mexico, he began his career as an early elementary school teacher in marginalized communities in his home state. After immigrating to the United States, Onay honed his skills as a ceramic artist. He has a deep connection to the Penland School of Craft in the mountains of North Carolina, where he has been a student, patron, and now serves as a board member. This connection has likely influenced his artistic growth and commitment to the craft community. In addition to his artistic pursuits, Onay is a passionate advocate for historic preservation. Alongside Dr. Jeffrey Childers, he has restored 3 national historic places in Raleigh, North Carolina. His commitment to art and social justice is further evident in their founding of the Gutierrez Collection, a contemporary art collection that explores themes of mental health, LGBTQ+ rights, Latin and Latinx identities, African and African diasporic cultures, women's art, and activism. The Gutierrez Collection has gained significant recognition with its first museum exhibition currently on view at the Cameron Museum of Art in Wilmington, North Carolina until September 7th, 2025, and set to travel to the North Carolina Museum of Art's Winston-Salem campus in the fall. Through his work, Onay continues to make a lasting impact on the art world, historic preservation, and social justice initiatives. Enjoy this episode featuring Onay Gutierrez. Onay, welcome to my podcast. I'm excited to feature you.
Oh, thank you. I'm so glad to be here.
Thank you. So let's jump in. When did you discover your interest in visual arts?
To be honest, I can remember in a specific moment, but I think it happened in elementary school. You know, sometimes we talk about food deserts. So the place where I was living, it really was an art desert. So my only connection to the art at that age was through my teachers at the elementary school. So I think it's how I become more aware of the art.
And do you recall if there were artists that influenced you to start collecting?
I think that I would say it has to be with the Mexican masters, like Diego Rivera would be one of those. Mostly, when I was a kid, all our textbooks, they would depict, a piece of art from a Mexican artist. So I think it's how I was introduced to the arts.
What type of relationship do you prefer to have with artists?
I like to create relationships that are in the kind of friendship way. But I'm open, because, sometimes it's hard to get to that point with them. But I really like to become friends, to understand their process. I love to talk about techniques with them. I like to know why they do what they do and how they do it. So yeah, I think that will be the ideal relationship, like kind of in a friendly way.
And how does their narrative impact your interest in their work?
Well, narrative for me is very important, but it has to go hand by hand with skills. I'm trained as ceramist. So a lot has to do with repetition and developing skills. So I guess that influences because sometimes an artist has a beautiful narrative, but when I see the work, I don't feel that the work is complete. It is missing finesse, or it's like it doesn't translate the narrative with the techniques and skills that they are using.
Interesting. And you mentioned that you're an artist yourself. You create ceramics. Just curious, do you also collect sculptures and ceramics?
We do. My partner and I actually we started collecting ceramics early in the 2000s. So we are based in North Carolina. North Carolina is well known for the ceramics. There is a lot of history from North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia. So it's how we started. So we started collecting a lot of folk art, ceramics from the region, and also artists, local artists from North Carolina. But definitely we do collect a lot of ceramics. Actually, a lot of ceramics that we collect, they are outdoor pieces.
Oh, that's interesting. Outdoor pieces, huh?
Yes, actually, they are very large pieces of ceramics, like not big as Juncaneco, but yeah, we say 4 foot, 5 foot pieces that are all throughout the gardens.
Oh, interesting. Does it snow much where you live?
I'm in Raleigh. I would say I'm in the central part of the state. We do have some snow, in maybe January, but not often. It's kind of rare lately. We do get a lot of snow in the mountains of North Carolina, but it is important to understand that the process of ceramics. They use local clay, and also they've been fired above 2,000 degrees. So really, the clay, the door becomes a stone. So it doesn't matter if it's snow, if it's cold, the piece will not break because it's solid. It is not like terracotta. It is not absorbing the moisture anymore. So that way it will not crack on the winter months.
Interesting. Okay. Good. As an art collector, do you consider yourself a patron?
I do. I think that the public can be patrons in many different ways, A collector may purchase a piece of art, may collaborate with a curator for an exhibition, or collaborate with an artist for a publication. But I think that as long as you go to a museum and you purchase a ticket for exhibition, I think you are a patron of the art somehow, Everybody's going to do it in a different level. But I do consider myself a patron of the art.
Mm-hmm. Do you consider art an asset class?
Yes, I do. I think that art can be an investment for those who are looking for that monetary value. But I think that art is very important in our life and make us better humans. And I think that doesn't have a value, a monetary value. What art makes us feel and how art can change us. I think that is the most important thing. And that is what I see as an asset.
What are the characteristics of your collection?
Our collection is very diverse. It is diverse in materials, artists, artist backgrounds, techniques, narrative. So I would say that our collection really is like a mosaic of different stories, different ethnicities. We also try to put more underrepresented groups on it. So we want to have more women's, LGBTQ+, Latino, Latinx, African diaspora, Asian diaspora. So the characteristic is, I would say the main characteristic is that we try to amplify the voices that need to be here.
Mm-hmm. And of those categories that you collect, do you feel any of them can be defined? Like, can Latinx, Hispanic art be defined? Can Black art be defined? Can, Asian art be defined? I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
I don't think that they can be defined. I think that it's going to be some characteristics of each group that is going to be different, and they're going to depict maybe same issue or same opportunity with a different view. But when I think about art in different groups or minorities, I just want to think about art. They're going to be so different somehow, but also there is going to be a connection because we are all humans. And maybe our experiences are different, but I feel that our necessities are the same. The similarities of what we need, to succeed, to be happy. I think that those are gonna be, similar. Maybe we added that, having a different background and having a different experiences, it will maybe make the world looks different somehow. I think that some artists, maybe their background or ethnicity, it will reflect maybe on color palettes, but I don't think that they are, they are different. I think that art is going to be art regardless of who is making it.
Yes, I agree. And do you prefer abstract or figurative work?
Well, we had a tendency in the past to acquire more figurative art. In the last 5 years, we opened our horizons to purchase more abstraction. I think it is a process as I'm learning more about art and learning more about artists. I think I also learning to appreciate the art in other ways.
Yeah. So do you have art hanging everywhere in your house? Do you have it in your bathroom, your kitchen, in addition to your living space?
Yes, art is everywhere in a way that is respectful to the artist and to the world. So I will not put, art where it's going to be splashed with water when you wash your hands, right? But yes, it is everywhere. We live with art. Art is part of our daily life.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And are there concepts or thoughts that connect the work that you collect?
I think the concept is the life experience. When you see our collection, because in my head, right, it's being curated. Every piece that we purchase, it has a reason why it is there with the rest of our collection. I think the main reason, or the way that we see it, the art that we collect is like a snapshot of the times that we are living, trying to understand how artists are dealing, coping, protesting, expressing themselves about the issues or opportunities of today. So I want that this collection be like a fingerprint of the time that I was living. With this art, I want to showcase, what was happening at the time that I was living and also the artists were making these works.
It's lovely. And are there current trends in the art world that you find either promising or disturbing?
I honestly don't follow trends. We really collect what we like. There is something that I see lately too much. And it's like, I feel like we are afraid to say something when a work is not great. Whatever is made, I feel like right now we say, oh, it's fantastic. Oh, that is great. Oh, it's fantastic. And I have to be very honest, not every work is made equal. I feel that is great art with a lot of skills there, great art with a nice narrative, but also there is a lot of art that is being made just because it's, because I need to make something. And in other words, I would say that also there is art out there that is not that great. And we are so afraid to say, that is not fun, that is not that great because we are afraid to be,
Afraid to be honest or offensive?
Afraid to be honest. So earlier you was asking me about if art, Latino art or Asian art, African American art or Black art can be defined. I think that terminology sometimes can be a little complicated to explain because there is a lot of art that is not great, but because it's made by a Hispanic or Latino person that happens to be queer, we have to love it, accept it, and say that it's the best that we ever seen, just because the group is being underrepresented. I think that we had to be accountable, for the things that we make, and we had to be honest.
Yes.
And I feel like the trend is being like, yes, everything is great. Let me ride on that train of the we are of the Latinx art and just let me make something.
How do you feel collectors should support artists?
I think that we can do it in many different ways, from purchasing the art, helping them, with exhibitions, it is required, like helping them with publications. If we had a means to do, a residency or support a project, I think that those are great ways to do it. Also, if it happens that we have their work, also talk to friends about it, make this art more visible, lend it to museums, talk to curators if you have the connections, and trying to introduce those artists, to the community, to a bigger audience.
Yeah, I love that. What is your definition of an artist?
I think that an artist is someone that allow himself or give permission to himself to express ideas, emotions, and their imaginations. And I think that that person is brave enough to share it with the world and brave enough to accept criticism and judgment. But also, I think that as an artist, as a maker, sometimes you don't have a choice because making is a necessity and you have to do it.
When you're buying art, is it because you envision living with it, or do you also take into consideration market appreciation or upside that you may have?
When we buy art, really, we never think about what this piece is going to cost 20 years from now, right? But at the same time, we have our piece and a few years later or 5 years later, you see the market and you see that the artist is doing very well, increasing value. It makes me feel good about myself. I'm doing something good. But that is not the reason why we buy, because we don't sell our art. Our goal is to create a collection that is cohesive, a collection that depicts history. I also think about legacy. When we think about art, art is, the way that I see art sometimes, it is a privilege to own art. And we are very blessed to be able to do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So not everybody can do that. So our legacy will be sharing it. So it's why we work with the museums or curators. We lend it the works. And also, maybe this is for my own ego, but I will love someday that you will go to a museum and you go to a room and it will say the Gutierrez Collection. I probably will be dead, but I know that people can still enjoy it. And I know that, especially my family will know that I did that while I was living. So, yeah, I would like to leave a legacy where people can remember through art who I was and what I was doing.
Well, what you're currently doing is very generous and impressive. Let's talk about your collection currently being on view at the Cameron Art Museum.
Yeah, the show is called We Belong Here, and it's inspired by a neon piece by Tovares Strachan, a Bahamian artist. There is 139 pieces of contemporary art in this place. The varies, like I said before, on medium. There is abstraction, there is a sculpture, there is a ceramics, glass pieces, and it is very inclusive, as the name say. We belong here, so we have African American art, we have Latino, Latinx, African diaspora, LGBTQ, more women's, we have abstractions, we have fabric work. And it's going to be on display until September 27th. After that, we moved to the North Carolina Museum of Art, Winston-Salem campus. in Winston-Salem. Also, all the works had been acquired for the last 10 years. And I can say that it's been a labor of love and also a great collaboration with the North Carolina Museum of Art and the Cameron Art Museum. They gave me the opportunity to bring to life, like this project that I have in my head for several years. And I'm so happy to share it with the community. Also, the response in Wilmington, North Carolina has been fantastic. So I can have pick a better place to start it.
Yeah, sounds wonderful. How long ago did you start collecting?
Well, we've always been collectors. I would think that every person is a collector of one thing of another one. So when I met Jeff in 2013, he was also collecting. I was collecting too. On 2014, we started collecting ceramics and folk art. By 2015, we moved to contemporary art, and our first piece for the collection was a Cahinda Wiley piece. So after that, we moved to art that was more national or of the international interest.
What a wonderful journey that must have been. What do you feel is the purpose of art?
I think that art allows us to share different perspectives and emotions. I think the purpose is to connect with others in a different level. Also, art documents and also helps to preserve stories and memories. I think the purpose also is to challenge us to start conversations. I feel that art, to me, it helps me to find meaning and inspiration to the everyday things that I do. But the most important thing, I believe that arts bring people together.
Yes. I've enjoyed our conversation very much, and this is our last question. In the art world, what do you feel is your role as a collector of fine art?
I think that as a collector, my responsibilities, they're going beyond owning valuable pieces. I feel like you are an ambassador of the arts and culture. I think that it's our responsibility as collectors to preserve artistic heritage and also to promote artistic voices. I think I need to share the stories with a broader audience. I think that we have to be very good custodians of the art. They trust us with their work, with their feelings, and we have to take good care of that.
Well, thank you very much for being a patron, for supporting artists, and for sharing your collection with your community in Raleigh at the Cameron Art Museum. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Phyllis. It was a pleasure.
Thanks. Thank you for listening to Cerebral Women Art Talks podcast. For additional content, please visit cerebralwomen.com and be sure to follow Cerebral Women on Instagram.